Hi, I'm Addy Meyer. I'm a manager over here at Vape Envy. Today I'm going to show you how to build snake coils. So the first thing we're going to do is get our wire. So these are the two types of wire I'm going to be using. So this is 0.8 by 1 millimeter straight ribbon wire, and it is Kanthal. So see, it's straight, it's not a cylindrical tube like most wire. And then we're going to be using 24 gauge Kanthal wire as the core. The ribbon wire is going to be wrapped around the 24 gauge and thus create the snake coil. Alright, so some of the tools we're going to be using today are going to be your screwdriver. So you're either going to need a Phillips head or a flat head, depending on what post screws your RDA will need. So we're going to be using the Phillips head today. And then also you're going to need ceramic tweezers to press together your coils as you're heating them up to make sure there's no gaps or spaces. And then we're going to be using two different types of needle nose pliers. I like to use these ones to actually clamp down the coil just like the ceramic tweezers would to squeeze them together. And I like to use these type of needle nose pliers to round out the coils so they don't get boxy or square. And then you're going to need your wire cutters to cut your wire whatever desired length. And then we're going to need scissors to cut our cotton, and also some sort of a tipped sort of tool to pack the cotton underneath your coils. You could use either the flathead screwdriver or your ceramic tweezers, anything with a fine point to pack the cotton underneath your coils. So last but not least, we're going to need a drill. Doesn't really depend on a certain brand or maker model, but it has to have the chuck part so we can tighten our wire, twist it, spin it, or whatever we may need, but it has to have the chuck. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is get our Phillips head screwdriver so we can twist off our screws to access the post holes. And the coil I'm going to be doing, it's going to be a dual coil, so we're going to open all four of these up. We're going to get our 24 gauge Kanthal and our wire cutters to get out the desired length. So I'm going to do about a foot. Cut off the ends. So we're going to need to straighten this wire because it's all bendy. We need it to be completely straight so we can wrap the flat ribbon wire around it. So I'm going to open up the chuck of the drill, put about ½ an inch in, and then completely tighten it down so it's nice and secure. You don't want it to be wobbling. So then with my needle nose pliers, I'm going to grab the end of this and bend it so I can get it nice and secure. So it doesn't matter which way the drill's going, but what we're going to do with spinning this wire, it's going to straighten it. We'll clip off this lead, and now we're left with a completely straight piece of wire. But then I'm going to get out my flat ribbon wire. And I'm going to take out about 2 feet. Maybe 2.5 feet, just in case. So to make sure that this is going to wrap around the coil, I'm going to place one end of this ribbon wire and I'm going to hand wrap it around the end of the 24 gauge. It doesn't have to look pretty, but it helps the wire guide along the 24 gauge. So I'll get my drill back out and I'm going to insert it into the chuck. I want to tighten this down as well. So then, with a very fine hand, I'm just going to grab the end of this flat ribbon wire. You can start off slow. We want even twists around the 24 gauge. And you don't want it to overlap. And then once you go faster, it'll make sure you're still keeping the same amount of gaps in between the ribbon wire. So once we get to the end, what I'm going to do is I'm going to overlap it. What this does, this helps the ribbon wire not from unspooling really quickly. So I'll cut off the excess. I'm going to release it from the drill. I'm going to clip off both the ends. And there we have the snake wire. So then what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab my screwdriver here. This one, I'm going to be wrapping this wire around it. I like to use more wider screwdrivers to wrap the wire as opposed to something real thin like this. I'm going to place about almost an inch on this bottom side of the wire, and I'm going to grip it with my thumb and my pointer finger to secure it. So then I'm going to start slowly wrapping it. You want to get them as, so I'm going for 7 wraps. So each time I go around, I'm going to make sure they're as tightly together as possible. And once you get to your end of your 7th wrap, I'll bend it even more so it's directly straight on both sides. I'm going to leave one lead longer than the other. This makes it a lot easier when you're installing it into your RDA. So since I'm doing a dual coil, I'm going to build another one. So the same thing, grab a hold with your thumb and your pointer finger to get your first wrap. So now we have both of our coils made. So now I'm going to put one of them back onto our screwdriver to install in our RDA. So this bottom piece of wire, it's underlapping on the bottom side. And then you have this one that's overlapping on the top. So what I'm going to do, the one that's overlapping on the bottom, I'm going to put it in the far left post hole. And then the overlapping one I'm going to put on this 3rd post right here. So I'm not going to push it too far to the inside because I don't want the actual coil itself hitting any of these posts. It'll cause it to short out. So I'm going to line them up, and I'll tighten down this one first. You don't want to wrench the screw in there or else it could snap your wire. And then tighten down the other one. I'm just going to make them real snug. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to clip off the ends with my wire cutters. And I'm going to use my screwdriver to help me push this coil to the middle to center it. I'll do it on both sides. I'm going to make sure it's not twisted, it's not slanting. So now I'm going to do the other side. So just like on this side, the overlapping piece of wire on top is going to go in this 3rd post hole. And I'm actually going to cut this down a little bit so whenever it goes to the other side it doesn't hit our other coil. So I'll do the left side first. Just kind of shimmy it in there. And I'm going to tighten it down. And tighten the side down as well. So just like on the other side, we're going to clip off our ends. And then we're going to center the coil to the middle. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to heat up the wire to close the gaps in between each coil. So once they start getting real orange, then I'll let go of the button, and as they cool, I'm going to squeeze them together. Another thing we're going to look for is hot spots. So we want the coils to glow from the inside out. So if one side's getting hotter than the other, like on this one, then that means we need to press them together more so they glow from the inside out. So with your metal pliers, you don't want to fire the coil and press at the same time, or else it's going to short out. But with our ceramic tweezers, we can light up the coil and squeeze at the same time. So I'm going to let these completely cool down, because then we're going to fire them and make sure they're both lighting up at the same time. So this side's glowing a lot quicker than this side, so we're going to get a screwdriver and tighten down this end here. So notice how this wire isn't heating up with the others. So I'm going to go in with these other needle nose and help round out these coils so all of them are touching evenly. So now they're both glowing evenly and there's no hot spots. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is install our cotton. So the cotton that I have is organic Japanese cotton. So it's sheet cotton, not like your average cotton balls. So things to look for, I don't necessarily say there's little seeds in here, but some of the cotton balls and cotton sheets, you can see little tiny brown specks. I would stay away from that. I'm sure it's not pleasant to vape, but I don't recommend getting cotton balls from the store because it is bleached and mainly used for skin and your nails, but this is going to be inhaled into our lungs, so we're not going to use that. So this cotton we get from Sephora. They come in 160 count bricks, so you can get it for about $10. So you can get 160 of these flat sheets. Things to look for in the packaging, you want to make sure it's organic and non-bleached. So what we're going to do, I'm going to take these two outer, more fibrous layers, just kind of peel them back, because what we want is the stuff in the middle. So I'm going to do it on both sides. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to pull and stretch this cotton out. I don't want to tear it, so I'm just going to do it very slightly, just to make this strip a lot longer. So once we have the cotton completely stretched out, we're going to break it off right in the middle. So this is called the Scottish roll method. So you're going to grab one end and twist it over, and we're just going to roll it. You want to get it as tightly together as possible. What this method does is allowing your cotton to last a lot longer, and so it can hold more juice, so your cotton doesn't go out. Then we're going to twist both these ends. I'm going to do the other one. I'm just going to slowly roll it up and get it tightly packed. And you don't want to pull straight across, or else it'll break in the middle and then we can no longer use it. So we're going to twist these ends. So then on our RDA, we're going to insert one end of the cotton. We're just going to twist it in there. We don't want to force it in. And once the other end comes out the other side, I'll just twist it to feed in. I don't want to pull it, because if I pull it, it's going to break off right here at the base of the coil. And we're going to need a lot more cotton to pack inside of our coil. So I'm going to do the same on this side. So I'm just going to twist it in. and twist the remainder of it through. So then, once I got both ends evenly in our coil, I'm going to unravel them. So we're not going to need all of this cotton. This little tool here, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to fluff up each side of the cotton. This is going to allow the juice to get all in those nooks and crannies. I'm just going to gently pack this right underneath the coil, so it almost looks like a bow. You still want to leave a little bit on this side. You don't want to pack too much underneath there, because then that will constrict your airflow. So last but not least, we're going to apply the juice to our build. So this is one of our flavors. This is Texas juice. It is one of our most popular juices in the store. We're just going to drop it right in the middle of the coil, right on top of the wire, because we want to get the cotton saturated that's in the middle of the coil, because that's the most important part. We're not going to be vaping these sides, we're going to be vaping what's right in the middle. So I'm going to do it to both sides, make sure all the cotton in the middle of that coil is getting plenty of juice. And then now we're going to go and apply juice to these two ends here. And once you apply the juice, the cotton will expand. So then I'm going to use this little needle tip on the juice bottle and kind of press it all back in. Once it's completely saturated with juice, we're going to fire it a few times. And once it burns off, we're going to apply more right to the top of the coil. And I'll do this about 3 or 4 times, just because we're applying so much juice to this top layer of the cotton, but we're going to make sure it's all getting down soaked in the middle. So the cotton's staying pretty absorbed now that I've primed it and made sure all of the cotton is properly saturated with the juice. So then I'm going to get my top cap of my RDA. So these are going to be my airflow slots. I have one on this side and then one on this side. So I'm going to line up the airflow slots right next to the coil. I'll secure it down. So now we have easier access for airflow, since it's placed directly in front of both sides of the coil. Alright, so last and final, we're going to do the most important thing and test it.